Yeah, yeah, yeah. Huh. Yeah. It's percolating. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning to the people on Facebook. Good morning to the people on IG. Good morning to the people on the YouTube. Good morning to the people on LinkedIn and Twitter too.
Java,
Percolating.
get a vibe, stay ready.
Truth in the cup, keep it strong, keep it steady.
Pull up a chair, yeah, take a sip with me.
Good morning, good people. Java with Jimmy. Good
Morning, good morning.
Yeah, the love percolating.
Percolating,
Java with Jimmy. Good morning,
good morning,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
good morning.
Yeah, the love.
Percolating,
Yeah,
Java with
Jimmy.
good morning. Percolating,
Yeah, we in it.
yeah, we in it.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Java with Jimmy.
percolating,
Yeah, we in it.
yeah, we in it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Java with Jimmy.
Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe this morning. Listen, we are here for what I am going to say, basically 2 cups of Java this morning. We have our good brother Khalil Howe, who is with us. He'll be coming in a couple of seconds. And also J.L. Smith, who you all know, who's active in the Java Cafe, commenting often of the J.L. Smith Suicide Prevention Program. Both of these, I will say, Black men, have been very active in leading a lot of advocacy in the space around the city budget. So we're going to chat with them. Before we do that, I just want to mention a few things. One, I need you all to keep Uncle Thaddeus in your prayers. I mentioned earlier this week that he wasn't feeling well. His doctors want him to have a procedure. He's having it today, actually at 10:30. And so in the crossover at 10:30, just kind of drop your heads and whisper, thoughts of healing, guidance of the doctors with Uncle Thaddeus, as well as it is Opal Thompson's birthday. So we would like to celebrate that. She is active. She is a supporter. She's a charter member of the Java Cafe. And so we want to say happy birthday to her. So we have a full cup of Java for you this morning. And so we're going to bring in our first guest, who I think came to my attention a couple of weeks ago when I saw a very passionate, energetic, 2 videos that brought attention to, and I should have got with somebody and tried to get videos so we could play it for the people. Where, the young people were advocating for the city budget, and they were very intentional and assertive, some would say aggressive, about calling shame to some of the city. Oh God, I can already see that the energy here is going to be interesting. I see, because the body language speaks everything, and that is literally something that I would do if someone was saying something. I would be like, oh well. So anyway, you may know this brother from advocacy space, where he and a group of young people called out City Councilor Rusi Lujen and also Henry Santana and maybe others as well. Yeah. And so that's how you sort of got on my radar. I reached out to JL. I was supposed to connect. And at the same time, I was trying to connect with the Better Budget Alliance, who has been on here before. And I'm like, hey, and it all came together. And so you're here. So I'm glad to have you here, King. I just want to also highlight for everybody that's watching that there are three Black men that are in this space discussing the city budget today. So Khalil, one of the first things I want to ask you to do is greet the audience, say hello, and as I do in this space often, ask you to use one word from your perspective to describe the current state of the city budget and whatever context and pieces and criteria. But say good morning to the people. End up with that one word. We're going to hear a little bit about you and how you got to BBA, and also you're representing the Youth Justice Power Union. Did I get it right?
Yeah, you got it right. Go work.
I'm terrible. Say good morning, sir. Give us your word, and we're going to jump in.
Yeah, first off, I'm really thankful to be here and glad you got in contact with me. Yeah, good morning, y'all. My name's Khalil. I'm with the Youth Justice and Power Union and the Better Budget Alliance. And yeah, if I had one word to describe this budget, maybe let me channel my youth at YJPU and say that this is it's a real diabolical budget. The intention behind it is not community focused. A lot of times when we think about having to balance a hard budget, even for yourselves, at the priority of it, at the top of it, you get things like, all right, I'm gonna take care of my rent, which would be like the housing part of the budget. Or
hold on. You do as often, my people. No. You do as often people that move in the space, they jump right into the work, and so respect to that. But I want to back up a little bit because a few things I know that contribute to your passion. You're a Black man. You're in the city of Boston. There's enough there that can make you get involved with budget and politics and policy and things like that. With that, I want to ask you, tell us who you are. Tell us, a little bit about, your upbringing or where you grew up, and how you entered the space of advocacy, working with YJPU and also BBA. And then we'll get into the work. You jumped right in, but when guests are on for the first time, especially yourself, I want the audience to really know who you are, because there's a level of knowledge that you're going to impart today, around advocacy and particularly around the budget. So who is you, as some of the folks would say?
Yeah, and sorry, I apologize about that. I get really into it.
Everybody does that. You jump right into the work, So, but tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, so I grew up in Roxbury. I was born in Boston, raised in Boston. Currently staying in like near Grove Hall, Dorchester area. But yeah, I've been in organizing work since a teenager. I was part of this program called the Summer Leadership Program, where I got politicized and really started understanding what's going on, like from the perspective of like a Black man in Boston, like for real. And I just started organizing with YJPU probably like the next year. So I've been doing this for quite some time. I'm 28 now, so that was about like 12 years ago at this point. Back in 2015, I was asking Marty Walsh for year-round jobs. Like, we've been doing this. So
I just wanted to also state, as a former youth worker, I know when we say young people, the voice of the young people, I, as a youth worker, understand. You mentioned you were 28, so I just want to be clear, because what is it? The training and whatnot that I have, there is the actual youth voice, and then there is what we call service opportunities and support, where we've talked about that. And so you're a grown man that is supporting the young people. I just want to be clear about that, because I just I know people.
Yeah.
And you get the context there.
Yeah.
And so, all right. So you got involved with BBA and YJPU.
You got it.
And you know, this is, you're not new to this, you're true to this. You went back 11 years, you talked about with Marty Walsh. And so you said that the state of the budget right now is diabolical. Can you give us some context there?
Yeah, well, the mayor straight up cut youth jobs. The the school year program.
Mm-hmm.
She cut all the money from the program, and it's no more. She cut about 5 million from housing, and those include housing vouchers. So she's slashing affordable housing. She took off of immigration support, elderly support, food. It's just it's just a real ugly budget. You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah, and I don't know if you want me to get into it now, but
I mean, you said diabolical, and I do want to get, because that is a
yeah,
very, you know, intent. I don't take you for someone that would just randomly, you know, use a word.
yeah,
And so, you know, there is more context needed there. There's one particular line item that, as I said, there are three black men, you know, discussing the budget today, and there's a lot of conversation around the Black Men and Boys, Black Men's Advancement Office. And
yeah,
so, you know, that as well is something that is impactful. And so one thing I want to ask, you mentioned immigration. This is what I've noticed, Khalil. There are three areas that have moved out of city direct support, which are immigration, veteran services, and then particularly to a area that we're both passionate about, youth jobs. There was an announcement made that there's now this partnership. In the numbers, my understanding from you're as bad as me. In the numbers, let's get into a little bit of that, because that is a sensitive area. The announcement, I believe, said it was 2,000 jobs through this partnership for year round. What were the numbers when the city was doing it directly? And then also, is there, or are you aware of any impact on summer jobs?
yeah. So essentially, the mayor's been saying that there's these 2,000 jobs that are going to be privately funded. But even if that was true, um, you can't rely on private funding for the sustainability of a program. It's a 20-year program. This just completely jeopardizes it. And the mayor specifically said in her press conference that there's not going to be a goal for a number amount for money. The plan isn't to replace the 6 million. It's to have 2,000 jobs with some mythical companies that are hiring young people and possibly fundraising money. What private companies are going to step up to hire so many young people? Like, if we really think about it, I don't know, because there's no concrete evidence. The mayor hasn't named any. Like, it's not real. And when we look at the jobs that are confirmed, it's around 475 jobs, and three of the groups that were funded for the school year jobs, right? We're just like, okay, even though you're not going to fund us anymore, we're still going to work for 475 jobs. You know what I mean? So that's not her promise. Like, she's just making stuff up. So as you can see, I get really passionate about this because it's just not true. She's just saying whatever she says,
Yeah.
and the city council's
I
amending with that in mind.
So I was going to, you know, we said we can't go into all the particular line items.
Yeah.
And I think what you just said is a good transition, because I wanted to ask you as well that I believe that things like the presidency that we were very active in bringing attention to, there's a lot of it. Let me ask you, do you feel that, and we'll go into the city council, if you were to give one word for the current level of engagement around civics, city policy, and budget in comparison to the last 11 years. You have the ability to do that. Is there a difference? Is there something different from your perspective?
Yeah, so I feel like there are peaks and valleys in this movement. I think right now, because of how bad the mayor's budget is, there's a lot of energy and there's a lot of people power and a lot of engagement. I think youth are seeing how crazy this is and really engaging, really showing up, really like, nah, we're not going to stand for this. You know what I mean?
I do, and that's why I asked the question. It's the young people, definitely. And I mean, let's keep it 100. Just you refer to, in 2015. Back in my days, it was us, and then I became a youth worker, and it was them, but us supporting them. And so, this model of young people from local to all types of world movements is not new. I respect, understand, and agree with the fact that there's peaks and valleys in this based on people's lives, based on when the city council hearings are scheduled and people can go, based on life and where people can pay attention. And so the other question I wanted to ask was one word for you talked about city council and the amendment. At current, city councilor Julie Mejia, I believe, was able to garner no vote last week, and there's a scheduled vote for this Wednesday. City council, the working sessions, yourself, JL, others have been in these rooms.
Yeah.
Can you give me one word for your perspective in reference to how the city council is moving in reference to the budget?
My mind goes so many different places. There's so many ways I could describe it.
Trust me.
Got you. Disjointed. And I'm gonna say that lightly. Like, sorry, I'm not saying that lightly. What I'm saying is I'm gonna take it easy on them. But yeah, there's no cohesion. And frankly, it looks like there's not a lot of respect when it comes to the way it's been handled right now. Like this budget process, there's a lot of unhappiness with the leadership with that.
I have to just mention that Brother JL is going to join us shortly. And when you talk about the leadership and what's going on, it's in the media now, but Brother JL was naming the piece about the Ways and Means lead and how that process was going. And so from your perspective, based on a diabolical perceived budget, also a what did you say, disjointed city council, what is the current state of things as far as the budget? The vote is tomorrow. You've been in working sessions. There was an article that came out today by one of the legacy major, media outlets that talked about the city's CFO, basically saying that if the $8 to $9 million cut, I believe, and I can look it up real quick. If that doesn't happen, there could be more layoffs. From your perspective, what is the current state of the budget? City council amendments, from your knowledge base, where are we?
Yeah, so right now, they're looking to amend the budget next week. I mean, not next week, sorry, tomorrow on Wednesday. After it had been postponed last week because they felt like they didn't have enough time with Councilor Weber's amendments. But it's not looking so great. I've been through a lot of amendment processes, and it's really hard to get counselors to agree on where they want to take money from. So, there was about like $20 to $16 million in cuts, right? And then originally that's how much the mayor cut from the budget. And then Councilor Weber is trying to move around like 10 million back, and then that 10 million turns to 8 million, and then the mayor sends out this memo saying that you can't take certain money from this and this because this many people will get laid off. And it's just people are going to get scared because she's fear mongering, and we're going to end up with a similar budget. And that's why groups are calling to reject the budget so that the mayor can put more money into it. And she's sending out memos to kind of fearmonger again, saying that she'll just send back the same budget, which is why people are saying she and this budget are diabolical, because what kind of stuff is that? You know what I mean? But
as I said before we went live, I'm what's the word? Familiar with this from the mayor's office, and also being in community, first in community, always priority community. But I spent some time in the mayor's office, and it's interesting. And so, full transparency, I posted it. I had called for City Council Louisiana and City Council Santana to reject the budget. They are a very, in this whole 6-7, sort of thing.
Yeah.
They are very persuasive. And in some communication with them, I know BMA was supposed to get restored. Now I'll say this and I'll get you off of camera so you don't get in trouble. But my understanding is that the money that was supposed to go back to the BMA for Brother Frank Farrow to oversee, there's this, and it's a good thing. My understanding is there's this thing of having a more equitable, or I would say equality from what I'm hearing, but process in which these commissions and Office of Women's Advancement and whatnot, where the cabinet would make decisions about that. My understanding is that this is for city departments and not cabinet. So I just, my point there is, brother, that the rejection of the budget and it coming back as is, I said to a couple of counselors, okay, so then go back and forth and keep rejecting, use the power of you all to get these things restored. And they were saying, oh, this is going back here and all this other stuff. And so it's just that word disjointed is interesting. One of the spaces and one of the things that there's been a lot of advocacy is to remove money from BPD.
Yeah.
Where is, and I mean, that's a national movement. It's got a lot of attention since 2020, of course. Our mayor backed as a counselor, defunding, I don't know if you use the word, but, taking some money from the police. Where is that now? And with Councilor Weber and the working meetings, has there been any movement to try to get them to take some money away from this BPD OT?
Yeah, and just want to hold the mayor accountable. She added money to the BPD this year and has added money year after year. I think there was maybe 1 or 2 years where the BPD budget went down, but it's higher than it's ever been right now. And our groups are always asking to defund the police. That's always what we're gonna move towards, because groups are asking for community safety in terms of getting food access, getting stuff for housing, just making sure people have jobs. But thinking about where it's at in this budget, I think I've seen originally that Councilor Weber had some amendments that try to pull from overtime. I don't know how successful that will be, because I haven't seen them take money from police in years. So I doubt that will really happen. That's why it feels disjointed to me.
As far as the council, and then and the other word, diabolical.
Yeah.
It's one question I wanted to ask you, Khalil, as a 28-year-old man. I'm aware that you were in music. You get the quote unquote business of things.
Yeah.
I'm presuming you're aware of the national climate and all this other stuff where it has impact.
Yeah.
Is there any understanding from and I've said this to the mayor and I get it. Nobody gets the lens that the mayor, has access to and forecasts and all this. I won't say stuff. And the other pieces and things that contribute to decisions is that from your perspective, you can either say personally, and I'm sure you will if you're not speaking on behalf of a group, but is there any appreciation for the CEO-ness and business of managing the corporation city of Boston?
Yeah, so I don't have respect for how the mayor's balancing this budget at all. I think you can't balance a budget off the backs of youth and immigrants and homeless people or people who need housing assistance. And I know that the city isn't bringing in as much new revenue as they as other years, but the city's budget's still increasing. And they talk about health insurance costs are going up. But this is a real emergency. So, if I was in charge, if I was managing everything, I would use the parking meter fund. I think, maybe people complain about potholes, about this and that, but there's a difference between something that'll make you complain and something that'll make you suffer.
It's not often that I don't I can run my mouth and I usually can come right back and I mean that is definitely real, and we're not making light at all of the impact. And that, I mean, it's along with the energy, if you don't mind a little bit of commentary, along with the energy, there is this perspective of everybody has agreed we have not seen the worst of what's to come based on nationally and war and all that other. And so there is a perspective that, if it's like this year, then what will next year, look like? And so it's just interesting. We are coming off my brother Jo, getting ready to come in. And I want to just tell him in the background real quick, center yourself in the shot, brother, because Instagram is going to automatically what's the word?
Cut you off.
Crop you. Yeah, thank you. You said cut you. You can tell you a little old head like me. I tried to say crop. But we're getting ready to bring brother JL in, and I really again appreciate there's an advantage that you all have that I just wonder when we were doing this as youth workers, if we had social media.
Yeah.
Social media, y'all, I mean, y'all are showing up, but we didn't have the ability to post y'all showing up. We had to go, you know what I mean? And so we really appreciate what you all are doing. Last question for you is, what is it that people can do, worst case scenario, between today and tomorrow, or if we get another pushback on a date, what is it that people can do to get involved, to make, what can they do to get involved with this? And then how can they reach out to both entities of which you're a part?
Yeah, so you can follow our Instagram, YJPU _Boston, or _BOS. Yeah, and you can call Counselor Weber, you can call Counselor Santana, call Counselor Lujan, and tell them to reject the budget. Pull up tomorrow, 12 o'clock to the budget hearing, and let's hold these counselors accountable.
Absolutely. I want to bring in the good brother JL. Good to see you, sir. I have to wait until I have to see you online. Take your mute off, brother. There you go. I have to wait to see you online, but we'll talk about that later. But I am, and I know I'm going to sound like an old head. I am extremely proud of both of you. Jay is a little bit older. He's right in the middle, probably, of both of us. But I'm extremely proud of both of you for the advocacy that you all are doing in this space. And it was, I mean, obviously I know you're Black men, but when I looked at the flyer or the preview on YouTube, I was like, that's 3 Black men, us discussing the city budget. And I just think that's dope. So I want to allow you to cross over for a second, just have some conversation for a couple of seconds. And then Brother JL, we're going to take a break and then bring you in and then talk about you're kind of in the mainstream legacy media right now.
Oh no, I'm not.
Well, not you in the, you know what I mean. Anyway, you two go ahead for a couple of seconds, and we'll come back with Brother JL right after a break. But go ahead and greet each other and do what y'all do.
What's up, John? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you? Morning.
Good. Excited for today. Excited for tomorrow. You know, they got their last day to vote tomorrow. They gotta make one decision. So
yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think you're doing a great job. So just keep doing what you're doing, man.
Appreciate it.
Both of these brothers are very humble, low-key brothers, unless they're in the chamber. In the chamber, then it's just a little bit different. But no, we're going to, Brother Khalil, we're going to let you go. Thank you so much. Okay. JL can attest. I was going to reach out, like I said, when BBA said I said, okay, let's make this happen. So we'll be in contact. Please keep me abreast of things going on. And you know, tomorrow, depending on what their times are interesting, but just between the two of you, we'll stay abreast. Thank you for coming in, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, sir. Absolutely, man. Thank you. Brother JL, I'm going to take a quick break for 2 seconds, and we'll come back and get in your perspective of what's going on over in City Hall, in the chamber, in the working sessions. This is going to be he laughed. This is going to be interesting. We'll be right back with you, everyone. Give us a couple seconds.
Boston, this is bigger than a race. One Love Sports Academy is bringing the community together for the One Love Indoor 5K Challenge. Kids, families, runners, walkers, every single step supports Boston youth. Come be a part of something powerful. June 27th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at 120 MLK Boulevard in Roxbury.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for coming back on the other side of that very important announcement. Don't forget that is taking place on the 27th. And then Brother Joey Bennett from Yard Time is doing the with the Life After Prison Project, the bike ride on the 28th as well. And Brother JL will tell us what he has going on this summer toward the end. And so, first of all, pleasure to have you here. We are in contact, but I believe for the audience, this is their first time seeing your face. And so I definitely want to welcome you kind of in this perspective into the Java Cafe. And then I'm going to ask you to greet the audience and then give us one word for your overall perspective of all things, whatever things you want, city budget.
Well, good morning, everybody, to the Java fam. I guess one word surrounding the budget for me is just sham. Sham, is that a good word? It's been a
sham or shame?
Sham.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Before we get into it, into the work, I think that you are a very eclectic brother when it comes to spaces of work. You have the suicide prevention program. You are a public speaker. I've seen clips of you, like either I want to say poetry slam. It wasn't like regular poetry. It was like some real old head Def Jam type poetry piece. You work with the young people. You're advocating. You're presently in the space, and so I want people to get a sense of who you are, because that informs. There's a trust factor. They people, I believe, trust what they're seeing and you doing. But I think even more so when people know a little bit of your story, it lends to, oh, that's why he moves, and that's why he's, doing what he's doing. And so, tell us a little bit about. And the funny thing is, I refer to you. There's a few people here of late that I can refer to in 3 names. There's John, there's JL, and then early on I was calling you Frederick. And so, if you want to give any perspective of that as well. So, floor is yours, sir. Floor is yours.
Yeah. So, I've been born and raised in Boston, lived here my whole life. I started with teen empowerment, doing advocacy. I've also worked for the Boston Youth Service Network, where we had young people training them how to be more like civically engaged. So I've always been like present and engaged in, in my own capacity around civics and how things are running in Boston. But it wasn't really until recently where I really started to pay attention to just like the budget process and different hearings and things that's going on, because I've seen how it affected the community. Yeah.
Got you. I'm looking at the comments and somebody that I'm not sure if you know her, but she's a city hall head. We go back when she was not even an intern. I think she was a youth something person, but Charlene is saying he's a smart man, like the way he moves, Black imagination. And so, you said that you started recently paying attention to the budget, and that is kind of your, I won't say, I'm just, me, I'm going to be real. It's sort of not a claim to fame, but it is a space where has brought a lot of attention to what you're doing. And most recently, I referred to in the opening that you were in legacy mainstream media, not you, not you, but I just have to highlight in this community platform, JL, that the story that is in mainstream media right now got to the attention of mainstream and legacy media because of who? Because of there's the person, but you know what I'm saying. that because of the community. Do you agree?
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I put the information out there. A lot of people shared it. Called the Ethics Commission as well. So I definitely think we played a big part in, the story being picked up.
I won't get too deep into that because there's a few stories out there. So I want to, as someone that moves in this space, I want to say thank you, because it's the ability to have it. I'm sorry, you know me, my brain is going in real time. There's so many reasons not to trust processes when it comes to these types of processes, and so bringing attention to that, it's on the Ethics Commission's radar is definitely important. And so,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, so I've been in the room like during the working sessions. I've been in the chambers during the hearings, and so I seen how Ben Weber and Sharon Durkin were engaging with each other. I mean, so it just seemed like, and then the way he was carrying the whole process, where he just came and slapped down his own amendments on the desk and assumed that the city council would just go with it, because it just didn't seem like a fair process at all. So it just made me really think, like, I was like, something's going on here. Like, it's not making much sense to me. So that's what really made me just dig a little deeper into, like, let's see if there's any conflict of interest, maybe, because I couldn't understand why he was being, like, why he was just carrying the amendment process that way. It's just weird to me.
Speaking of that, can I ask you, as someone that has been, and please, I have to acknowledge this, because if you don't do it typing, she's going to say something, but Mama Java says hello and good morning. Where are things in the amendment process? The vote was able to be postponed until tomorrow. So I saw a couple of posts from you yesterday. What is the current state of things? And in that, what's one word for your observation of city council in this process?
Well, so I don't want to say what I want to say. But I'll say that, it's fractured. Actually incompetent. Let me say that. That's a better word. It's been incompetent, yeah. But where we at now, so the city council takes up the vote tomorrow in the chambers on the amendment package itself. And so, if they choose to adopt the amendment package, it goes to the mayor. and she could then decide to veto it or adopt it. So if she sends it back to them, then I think it'll take like 9 counselors to veto the mayor's package.
What is your perspective on this conversation? One thing I wanted to interject before we go there was your original word you said was fractured. Khalil's was disjointed. And so with the, update of incompetence, just to by both of your observations, that's kind of in the same vein. It's let me ask you this. There's this conversation that, has come up around reject the budget. What is your perspective of the council on this conversation that, well, the same budget is going to come back? What would be your expectation as a constituent, as a voter, as a dad, as a nonprofit leader? As someone typed earlier, arts and culture, you're an author. What is your perspective on the council's power and or role in rejection of the budget?
I mean, again, I think it just speaks to the incompetent piece, right? Because ultimately, if you're saying that the budget is going to come back the same way, what are you losing? What gets lost in that? And so, yeah, it just that argument in itself just didn't make much sense to me. I think if the councilors did reject the budget, it would be on the mayor to then say, hey, like we need to add $20 million more dollars, because like that's less than a fraction, 1% of the total operating budget. And so to think that you couldn't get $20 million from the mayor is incompetent. Like, what are you doing? Are you doing your job or no?
One of the things that and I just have to acknowledge because she's in the room. City councilor said it's not the council's budget, it's the administration's budget. One of us must have said the council's budget. Hi, Julia. I forgot to ask Khalil about this. He spoke to it indirectly, but what is the budget as is? What is the impact? That was something I forgot to ask Khalil. From your perspective, what is the impact? And one space that you and I are, kind of really keeping a hard eye on is Black male advancement. Where,
I mean, I'm keeping a hard eye on everything because it's impacting. And like even let's take Black men. Yes, we're Black men, but we have other like aspects to our lives, right? So Black men still need to eat, right? And so food justice is being cut. Black men still need houses to live in. House vouchers are being cut. Human Rights Commission, and so there's just so many cuts across the board where everyone is being impacted. So yeah, it's ridiculous. I don't know.
I refer to the fact you're a nonprofit leader, you're an author, you're a businessman. I asked Khalil this, I'll ask you this as well. Is there any appreciation for the fiscal, like you and I text and debated about the AAA credit status and things like that? Like, is there any appreciation for the CEO fiscalness of someone that has the purview, unlike, no one has the purview that the mayor has?
Does she? Because if she did, would we be going over the police overtime budget by $40 million, $50 million every year? It's always bond ratings and fiscal responsibility when our communities need support. But they always find money for everything else. And that's been the theme forever. And so they cut almost 400 school staff positions. They didn't think about going into the reserves for that. They're cutting all of the grant programs for community serving orgs. They don't think about going into reserves for that. But they'll turn around and use it for any and everything else, which they just did.
I was going to ask, do you have an example? What did they do? And then with that, and again, we're in contact off camera. I can ask you this question. Where is the not 6-7? We can talk about that later. Where is the thing of tapping into the reserves once and then based on and you understand economics, based on this perspective, we haven't seen the worst yet. Not city level, but an elected official told me just last week, or you think this year's budget is bad, wait until next year. And so two things there is, you answered the perspective about being a CEO and that lens. The question I was going to ask you based on what you just said was about, oh God, it just left my head real quick, because there's just the impact piece there. And what you just said,
yeah, it's, it has a deep impact. We just had Khalil on when we talking about youth jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not just the jobs. What about the orgs that are servicing the young people?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I wanted to ask you about the reserves. You understand this. Is that a good model? And I wanted to ask the example that they tapped into this year. Thank you, J.O. The example of what they did this year with the reserve. And then as a businessman, do you think that that's a good model to set precedents? You tap into reserves this year, it gets worse next year. Are you tapping into reserves again?
So listen, I'm not a city councilor, but I was in the working session yesterday, and Councilor Brian Worrell said we use the reserves all the time. That came out of his mouth. And so if I'm not mistaken, they just approved, I think it was about like $40 million or so dollars to go into the reserves for health insurance or something. But like I said, like it's always an excuse why they can't do something for us in our community.
Now, would you agree health insurance is a good thing to go into the reserves for?
Of course, I do.
Okay.
I mean, BPS is as well. Like youth jobs is as well. Black men are as well. And so it always comes down to what are we prioritizing as a city, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we're spending almost $500 million a year on the police, and we're saying we don't have $5 million for youth jobs, what are we prioritizing as a city? Are we progressive? Are we? I don't know.
I have a perspective about progressive. I mean, I've said it publicly that, the progressive movement is from my perspective, led by majorly, and there's not an issue with part of this, what I'm about to say, but queer white women. And so that, depending on how we're defining that and whatnot, where our voice, our experience is, that's a whole, JL, that's an after dark.
Well, I mean, no, because listen, I'm in the working session yesterday, and Mahia put on the table to reallocate $3 million from the Boston Police budget and overtime spending. And so, if I'm not mistaken, half of the money was geared towards vacancies that the police do not plan on filling this year. And there wasn't one counselor, from my recollection, that said yes, they would be in support of reallocating the money and backing up Mahia. A lot of the counselors were in for like a few minutes and left, didn't care too much about the process at all. And so the ones that were there, I was there. I didn't hear anybody say yes. So if the body of like the people that represent us don't have any progressive principles, then like, are we a progressive city?
And again, that the definition of and some of this, what's going on, some would say yes. And then if you look at folks that we've had on today, we'd be like, well, define progressive. And life experience and whatnot has a whole lot to do with how we view whether we've progressed or not. I try not to pay attention to the comments sometimes so I can stay focused. And I think that's what happened, because Councilor Mejia is still in here. She's Brian Worrell has asked repeatedly for a revenue conversation. And additionally, she also said that they can do it and we should press them to do so. The reserves belong to the people. So, and that's the thing that is so, interesting. I put up a post the other day that said, imagine hiring someone for you to represent you or do something for you, and then they turn around and implement and do things and tell you what's good for you. You know what I mean? And so to that point, it's going to get interesting. I shared with Khalil And I'll let folks know the mayor is scheduled, to come on tomorrow at noon. And so I'm sure this budget, well, I know that the budget, is going to come up.
She's scheduled to come on tomorrow at noon. Isn't that when we have the budget hearing? She didn't know about that?
Yes, but believe me that the mayor will not know. And right, she'll be done at 12:30. I don't think they're going to vote by 12:30.
I mean,
everybody got
it's just an interesting time to come on. That's all I'm saying.
Khalil got me. Khalil got me at one point in a good way that I didn't know what to say. He said something, and you got me at a point here where I'm like, okay, I don't. Let me ask you, like I asked Khalil, what can people do? I mean, you've posted about it, and you fussed a little bit too, but you've posted about calling, you've posted about, but just reiterate, what is it that people can do between today and tomorrow? And I'll ask you, do you think that the vote will be prolonged outside of tomorrow?
I don't think legally that the vote can be prolonged outside of tomorrow.
Not the vote, but the budget. They have to vote, but do you think that it will be? You think the budget will pass?
I don't know. We got a lot to fight. I don't know. I honestly, I don't know. If it doesn't pass, that means the mayor's budget gets adopted. So
you said if it does pass, the mayor's budget gets adopted.
No. If the amendment package that
right, yep,
that gets voted on tomorrow does not pass, that the mayor's budget gets adopted, which is cuts to everything. So it has to pass. Now, what is going to pass?
And there's a working session scheduled for today, correct?
No, it's not. You would think it would be one, right? But I think Weber is a little busy with the ethics commission today.
I don't have no more coffee left. I asked Khalil, and you've been around for a little bit, though, just really hard engaged in the budget this season, I believe maybe last season. But do you how would you describe the energy of the people right now in comparison to maybe past years, or do you even see any difference?
I think I've been saying this for a long time this season. The young people have been out in full force, and they've been advocating, they've been blocking off streets, they've been showing up, shutting down meetings, and doing all of the necessary things. So I think that energy has been awesome. We always hear about the young people in the media. They're fighting here, they're doing this, they're doing that, but they're also showing up for everyone, not just for themselves. And so I think that energy has been dope.
It's I'm sorry, I jumped over to Instagram for a minute. There was a lot of activity over there, and I'm trying to look at the timestamp. I think this was since you've been on. Someone said if councilors pass millions in amendments, the mayor could still ensure that more money is put back so no layoffs happen. The mayor is choosing to intimidate the council, and most of them listen anyway. Yeah. And then someone else said, yes, I love seeing our young people show up. And I mean, that's always been the case. Me as a youth worker, me as an old head. That has always been the case, not just with this local, but as I said to Khalil, in national, international, movements. I'll close out with this, and I know you can speak to it. If the council's amended does not pass, if we understand this correctly, I don't know if Councilor Mejia is still in. If we understand this, excuse me, Councilor, you made me fit. Councilor Mejia said we are not a progressive body. If the amendments do not pass and the budget gets passed as it was proposed, where do we go from here? Where do we go from there? And there's some black,
riot and loot. No, I'm joking. Sorry. I can't say that.
First of all, I honestly didn't hear you. And then that's when I did hear you. No, but seriously, and there's an element that I'm inquiring of you around. We talked about young people, but then Black leadership. Do you know if we had Jo, I'm not messing with you.
I mean, listen, don't ask me anything you don't want to hear the answer to.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to schedule you for one of them 9 p.m. In espresso martini conversations. Where do we go if the budget cuts happen as is?
Go to sleep. Wake up the next day. Like, listen, we're Black people. Like, we've been through worse. And so, like, what's going to stop? Nothing. We're going to still have to get up and pay our bills, right? Take care of our kids, right? So, yeah, that's where I'm at. I mean, ultimately, we need to hold people accountable, right? And so you do that on election day and get them up out of here. But for the immediate now, like, we continue doing what we've been doing. Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate you. I think and you know, if you don't have an understanding of people's experience, if we're not as communicative as we can be, you know, sometimes people don't understand motive and all that. And I'm you know, I can reflect on me, and you and I have talked about this. I'm glad to be able to have you on camera, and I'm glad for people to be able to see a perspective, because thank you. You were a little bit reserved today in answering a couple of the questions, but sometimes on social, got a couple of counselors in the room today. Counselor Worrell, how art thou, sir? I'm saying this, Jo, because I'm glad that you were here and people got to see you and understand why and how, you know, you move the way you move. May not always, and they don't with me always 100% agree, but the impact and the direction in which you're going, I believe that we're all appreciative of because the attention that community has brought to this, it has been, what you uncovered is running in legacy mainstream media right now.
I just want to clarify some things, right? Like, I did not uncover anything. That is public information.
It's
so it's not hiding.
Hold on. Let me tell the truth. Hold on. So when he dropped that on social media, I texted him. I said, "Where did you get that from?" I was like, "Wait," because so, and he responded to me and he said, "It's on the internet," and I was like, "Okay, fine," but I mean, it's the way it was presented, the way it was packaged. It was like, oh shoot, you know. So
well, because yes, it's a conflict of interest. It's, you know,
now did the ethics committee. I saw a story today that said that I saw a couple of stories that they were in contact, and I didn't see anything that said, because a couple of these things you got to pay to get the full story, and one of them I'm not.
Yeah, so I paid my $1 this morning, and I was able to subscribe for the year because I needed.
Hold on. No, sir. I ain't giving it.
But yeah, so I know, like, what Weber had communicated in the working session yesterday surrounding it was that he himself contacted the commission and disclosed that there was a conflict of interest with his wife's organization. And they said, hey, that's perfectly fine. Continue on doing business as usual. That's what he said. He also said when he became the chair of Ways and Means, he contacted them and disclosed about the conflict of interest with his wife's organization. And he said, they said, hey, keep doing business as usual. You're all set. And then all of a sudden, he says he gets a call yesterday morning saying, well, you're not all set. So maybe you should recuse yourself from this specific line item. So if you take his word, he disclosed twice and was given the green light to continue on. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, they decided to call him yesterday morning. So if you ask me, I don't think he disclosed. I think he did not contact the Ethics Commission, because if he did, he would have a letter that he said he was going to produce today. But
Well,
you know.
so the next 36, what time is it? The next 36 hours are going to be 36 hours are going to be very interesting.
It is. And because that's not the end of it, right? Like the Grant Connect thing isn't the end of it. His wife also got their lease extended for the building on Boylston like 3 days after he became the chair of Ways and Means. It was at a reduced rent. They got like almost $350,000 for improvements. It was voted unanimously, and his staffer was at the meeting. So, you know, we'll see where that goes.
It's that piece of it, and then also the actual vote tomorrow itself. And that's interesting because I had contemplated getting ready to come, and well, I was supposed to be at the State House. And I had contemplated coming over, and then this, and in my head, when the time got proposed, I said, okay, yeah, noon is fine. I don't have anything scheduled. And I was like, oh shoot. But it's all right. I'm going to get off of here. JL. It's just going to be interesting. And though I feel you about we've been through worse, our ancestors, yes, definitely been through a lot worse. But I think for this generation and what's going on, like I said, someone said that we think this year's budget is interesting. Wait until fiscal 28. And
yeah, I mean, I've heard that numerous times throughout the working sessions from numerous city councilors that it's projected that next year is going to be way worse, which is why if all of the funding for these programs disappear now, it is not coming back, which is why we need to fight for what we can today.
At least at level. Yeah.
Because it's not coming back. If it's gone, it's gone.
And that's the thing that is iterations of the concern about what's to come is yeah. So at some point we're going to need to have some conversations about, okay, who's collecting canned goods and who's collecting oatmeal and who's collecting, so we have a little food pantry system in place, and
it's crazy because like Boston has been historically one of the wealthiest cities across the nation.
For us though, has it been for us though?
No, not for Black people. No. I mean, just the city of Boston. And so to see us in these like financial ruins, so to say, is ridiculous.
I asked you about the fiscal CEO piece. I asked you about that, so I won't read it. I won't. Yep. Nope. Okay. Brother, I appreciate you. Brian Worwells, as I said before, he said the answer was stay engaged. Someone is asking, what is your full name? I don't know who this is, if this is a reporter or not, but Ivory White is inquiring about you. So inbox this brother. Again, I appreciate you. Brother Khalil has left, but I'll do that when I let you go. But man, thank you for what you do. Stay focused. And we'll be in contact. And definitely keep me up to date.
I'm gonna keep everybody up to date.
I know you're gonna post, but I'll see a post and I'll be like, so I be trying to get asking clarifying questions. All right, brother. I appreciate you, man.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, King. Peace, bro.
All right, bye.
Listen, everyone, I hope that you today appreciate the fact that there are 3 Black men on here talking about the city budget, knowledgeable, involved, 2 actively, 1 old head that used to do. They are blessed. This generation is so blessed to have the accompaniment of social media, because all we could do was call and write letters. We emails were, we had that. But yeah, I appreciate what both of those brothers are doing. As I said before, Brian Worrell is still here. He has mentioned that financial ruins, 1.2 billion in reserves, 600 million in free cash, $4 billion budget. So not financial ruins. Hey, Ivory, you can inbox him at his proper way to inbox. And I meant to ask him his preferred way of being contacted, but is John Smith. This is what my mother said right here. This is where you can inbox him. Okay. I wasn't sure, Ivory. I just me and Legacy Main Street Media, somebody may have been trying to get an interview off of him in here, Anyway, to Council Worrell's point, financial ruins. He's like, nah, we got 1.2 billion in 1.2 billion in reserves, 600 million in free cash, 4.9 billion budget. So pay attention. Continue to pay attention. If you're not, pay attention more, everyone, because this is major. As I was getting ready to say, tomorrow at 10 a.m., we are coming for our first Coalition for a Resilient and Inclusive Waterfront Wednesday episode. We will have Save the Harbor with us. Chris, Mancini, I believe, I'm doing it by memory, will be with us tomorrow at 10 a.m. And then, as I mentioned, at 12 noon, Mayor Wu will be with us to chat about the budget and a few other things. I just saw that a couple of things are coming out in reference to Madison, whatnot. So we'll talk about, what's going on, and then we'll, I actually make sure you pay attention to a post I'm going to put up. I'm figuring out how to affirm what I believe the community wants to hear from the mayor as far as questions. It's not maybe exact questions, but housing, White Stadium, blah, blah, blah. And then maybe questions. So I'm going to post something later about that, and make sure you fill it out. And then we have the ability to drop it in. It does the whole word cloud thing, and that'll inform tomorrow's conversation, as community always does. But this, putting it in one space, makes it just a little bit easier, rather than me trolling social media and my texts and my inboxes when I drop that the mayor's coming on. Matter of fact, I don't know if I want to drop it today, because as soon as I drop it, bing, bing, you should, and you need, and you should, and you need, and how come you don't? Because I'm not putting that on screen, JL. Jesus Lord. And I'll just say this. Whether you agree with how, just understand and appreciate there's a dynamic here of someone that has a 13-year, 2010, 16-year, relationship. Definitely of late, 6 years more, but yeah. So that's always an interesting dynamic to balance. But yeah, we'll talk with crew at 10 a.m. tomorrow, and then Mayor Wu will be in the Java Cafe at 12 noon. And then on Thursday, we're speaking with movie producer Trevor Milton. That, in I think the grand scheme of things, has a movie that will be featured this weekend that talks about racism and things like that. And so he'll be with us Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Okay. Don't forget to please keep Uncle Thaddeus in your prayers. Miss Teresa sends her greetings and thanks for her birthday wishes. Also, keep our brother Val. I want to say his social media name. I can't think of his government last name. Our brother Val, who is part of the wonderful couple of him and Nia. His dad passed, and so he posted it today. I've known about it. He posted it today, so I'm saying it here. Please keep Brother Val and Nia and all the family in your prayers as well. And I think that's it as far as announcements. Keep September 10th in mind. I'm just saying that's going to be a major event. So September 10th, and it's around my birthday, but that's not the 55th, which is crazy. Y'all have a wonderful day, and we'll see y'all tomorrow. I'm getting off of here before these two start, then I'll be on here for another hour. We'll see you all tomorrow at 10 a.m. with Crew and with the mayor at 12.